So for me, in the last 12 months, must be the input from the commissioners. It must be how they've taken up the pattern, ran with it, how they, I mean, Vusi has been so excited for 2 weeks. He couldn't wait for us to get to Cape Town. He couldn't wait. Is this my question? So then he didn't have time because you took all the time. So he wanted to do those things. He wanted to do that.
I wanted to do the EFF judgment, but
the scenes, strategies that people are not aware of.
Yeah.
Like the Steenkamp case for one was something that you can write a book on, you know.
Yes.
So because it was when it like that case came to me, so that the Beers and Raven decisions were there in the LAC decisions, and it kind of messed it up. So the dismissals, as the law stood, were all null and void because they didn't comply with the section. So there was a lot of planning strategy going on, how we managed the case, how we had 2 rounds. That's a nice case to talk. You know, there's a lot of behind the scenes strategic decisions that were made. A lot of
it's quite remarkable to have it, I think, and it's first-hand for me. It's first-hand information, and parties, when they ask questions about things, you're able to tell them more than what we can say, because all we do is to interpret what the judgment says. But we have more of an intimate knowledge about that. I think in the marketing also, if you show in a cell like as you have David Scruggs, and he said, look, I was counseling that matter. Other than what you see in the judgment, these were other things that are important. And what I suggest you do, go back to your policies in the workplace. Look at these policies, other than because you don't find in the basic conditions, so you can have what the court says in the LAC. And you say, let's amend our policies to accommodate the broader society, because it's a constitutional issue. Rights to culture, customs, and everything in religion. But things end up in law reports. But the people are supposed to be beneficiaries, because at the moment, the abuse of people who want to exercise that practice is increasing. But many of them don't even know there's such judgment that exists. Many workplaces, there is no single policy that does. Even when we do all these changes, when there's amendments, it never comes up. They don't go to those countries. They select the ones that they prefer, like this Mahlangu judgment of a domestic worker on COIL. Immediately after the Concord judgment, then they started changing legislation immediately after that. But it's those that interest them when there's more pressure, not many other that are quite important. Even the one that we're talking about now of the deduction, section 34 of the basic conditions. You know, if I was in the audience, I would love listening to you talking about it. But I think the nice thing is the increase in the number of attendees. It's a good thing. You know, like we were discussing in the CCMA, it's a double-edged sword to have an increased number of cases referred, because it could represent a conflictual society. Or on the other hand, it can show that people know and understand their rights more, so they understand what you got. So the more you increase on attendees on education and know your rights approach, like we are doing, so it feeds into that quite